that point as well, Phoenix losing tonight by 1 to Denver in overtime.
In Denver.
Like, okay, I'm going to say this. I'm just going to say this. Maybe not having a point guard on the roster last year was a mistake. And actually getting someone capable of playing that position at an NBA level, even though they slightly overpaid him, is a good thing.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Sports Den, the podcast. We've got a lot of great topics, so let's get to some sports this week.
All right, everyone. Well, welcome. Hope everyone had a good week. It's a fun week here in Phoenix. It's no longer stupid hot here. It's actually really nice. It's like
What's the one week
else is doing with snowstorms. No, we get this. We're in that fun time when like we get to point and laugh at the rest of the country. Because you guys are all like freezing and cold, and we're like, yeah, I don't even think it's time to bust out, long sleeves and jeans yet. It's still shorts weather. What are you talking about? So it's that fun time of year in Phoenix.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd love to live in Phoenix. I'd take Phoenix in the summer over the Mississippi Delta in the summer any day of the week.
Minnesota summers are nice, but obviously it's the winter. Like, I'm just excited I haven't gotten my winter coat out yet. Like, that's what I'm celebrating.
You're a brave man.
That needs to at least be ready to go. I mean,
it's the frozen chosen, it's how it is.
But anyway, speaking of the frozen tundra, I don't know. That's still one of my favorite lines in all of NFL films. As I like to start off a lot of podcasts of, it's the NFL. The NFL's king. So we kind of start off there. A lot of kind of crazy stuff happened in football this week. Trade deadline actually becoming really a thing. That's kind of an interesting thing. And some games. So what do you guys kind of seen from this week? Anything you got to talk about from the NFL?
I got two things that jumped out at me. Was number one, a bunch of teams made trades. I think we should probably talk about that in a second. Number two, thank goodness the Chiefs made the right decision. Patrick Mahomes was like out hardcore social media campaigning to get to play on Sunday, and they were like, no. So good on the Chiefs. Y'all, you're going to win your division no matter what at this point. So give it a rest. Let him relax. There's literally no point in him coming back at all. There's no gain in him coming back early. So just take a break, come back in like 2 or 3 weeks. Just give it a little bit.
It did hurt me. Like there are certain areas of my life where I have to check. Am I loving my fellow man correctly? And sports is one of those areas where I constantly have to check myself. Am I loving my fellow man correctly? Because as a Broncos fan, when I heard he wanted to play and I hear other stuff, if this isn't RG3-2, my first thought was, I certainly hope so, because that's what sports makes us do. I am a horrible, horrible person. Yes, I'm aware. But no, I'm happy he is, because at the end of the day, despite him being a division rival, he's so much fun to watch, and I want that to continue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really happy that they're making the right choices for him. It's interesting seeing different perspectives. Actually, I wasn't kind of going to this, but comparing different teams and how we have different teams that are trying to stop certain things and other stuff. Mm-hmm. We've got here of you're keeping people out. No, it's we're worried about you and we actually care about your safety. And then I haven't read on it too much, but what's been going on in the Jets of a player that a player that is the doctors say he needs surgery, and he's like, "Well, I need surgery," and the Jets are like, "No, you don't need surgery. If you go to get surgery, we're going to fine you." What? Has anyone else read this story or seen
Yes,
this story?
it's exactly why the Jets are a joke. Like
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like
the Jets
crazy.
getting this high and mighty. Oh, we got a fluky win. Like they got a really fluky win over over the Cowboys, but it's like,
solid.
and then they turn around.
Cowboys.
No, it was fluky, but then we just had some terrible stuff out of the Jets. There's Sam Darnold getting caught saying he's seeing ghosts, which anyone who's actually played quarterback knows that that's actually a normal thing to say. It's just what quarterbacks mean when they say, like, I thought there was a blitz and they weren't blitzing, or whatever. It's pretty normal. Or I messed up the coverage, but that got blown out of proportion by the media. Like, so
the media didn't really blow it out of proportion. We'll let you go here in a second, Sean, but the media didn't blow it out of proportion. I think if the Jets had not said anything,
exactly. That's
the media didn't blow it out. The media showed it, and it was kind of it was like an oh my goodness moment of wow, they caught this thing on tape, and maybe they shouldn't have put it on TV. But you know what? We're talking about it here on Friday.
Because of how the Jets reacted, not because.
And we wouldn't have been talking about it here on Friday had the Jets not said anything. But go ahead.
No, I totally agree about the Jets situation. Like, you see, man, poor organizations will always run themselves poorly, and this is why the Dolphins are the way that the Dolphins are. This is why the Jets are the way that the Jets are. This is why the Browns continually
disappoint
the Browns. Like, it's you gotta, from the front office down, like, culture is important. And when your culture constantly clashes with itself, we see that in all major sports, and we see that, that is detrimental to a team that is trying to develop, a la the Jets right now, and who have, some pieces that are arguably exciting. They have a division in which, I mean, the Jets, for all intents and purposes, could have been the Bills this year. Like, maybe not that successful, but they were definitely a dark horse.
Brian is screaming at you right now.
He is.
But no, but it's not
a dark horse to be second in that division, though. Like, it wasn't out of the realm of possibility, is what I'm saying. Not saying that they were going to be like making the playoffs or anything like that.
But the AFC has a lot of people that are right in that kind of like bad but almost good.
Exactly.
And so a wild card berth is really feasible in that division.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so that's why when the culture of your organization is to be run poorly and to just not get better, this is what you have.
It is. It's one of those things that, for me, it's interesting as a Broncos fan and listening to the rest of Broncos country. There's a huge portions of, and I don't consider them fans. I think that are screaming for Elway's head. Elway's been a horrible thing, and it's no. Why do I wake up always excited and have hope? Yes, he's failed miserably in finding us a quarterback outside of big name free agents, and convincing people to come that way. But no, at the end of the day, we're not a poorly run organization, despite our ownership situation. That I don't know if people outside of Broncos fandom realize how much craziness is going on within the Broncos ownership situation. I mean, there are lawsuits happening right now between the family, people who have no claim on stuff, the trust. There's craziness happening with but at the same time, I'm not worried because we're an organization that isn't going to do something like fine a guy for trying to get surgery. Mm-hmm. We're an organization that doesn't have, going a couple weeks back, that's not going to have someone dumb enough in their arena or in their sound booth to play the other team's fight song, even as a joke. No, like we're too well run of an organization to let stuff happen. I'm even if we don't win things, we're a well run organization. That's not that gives me hope.
So here's a question. if the Broncos are the Houston Rockets for the entirety of the early 2000s till like 2012, between 2001 to 2012, would you be happy with that?
No, I mean I want rings. I mean we've got a standard of rings.
Never had that. Mm-hmm.
There's a standard of rings, but even less standard of the ring. There's a standard of at least getting the Super Bowl. I mean, hey, that was a joke. No one's lost more Super Bowls than the Broncos have. I don't think. Maybe there may be a couple people that they're tied with, but no. But as a running joke, Broncos lose Super Bowls like a champ, but they're making it. That's what we. I mean, it's.
I feel like the Bills have the record for the most back to back. I know that.
Back to back, yeah. And Denver just didn't lose a bunch back to back, but I mean, that was the whole thing with Elway. Elway, they always said Elway could get you there, but well, no. The part they don't realize is those teams that Elway took to the Super Bowl were absolute garbage teams.
Complete
that
garbage.
Elway dragged kicking and screaming to a Super Bowl. Like,
yes,
there's not a single player. That's why do I put Elway in the GOAT conversation? Because he dragged those teams to the Super Bowl. Like,
it's kind of like that's everyone, like, to put it in another sport. To put it in another sport, they're like, oh, King Griffey Jr. never. I was going baseball. King Griffey Jr. never made a World Series, but dude, he was on some terrible teams.
Really,
he was on some terrible teams, and then it's the same reason why I think LeBron didn't fall off of the GOAT conversation for some of those losses. Like, dude, that last one with the Cavs, they shouldn't have made the playoffs, much less been in that finals. The first one where they got swept by San Antonio when he was like 7 years old. Like, what on? There was no business that. Who was the second best player on that team? Like Delonte West, or was it Mo Williams? Or like it's like none of those teams should have made it. And Elway, same thing. There was nothing on those teams.
Yeah, they were. I mean, they had some of those little pieces. I mean, you have the Orange Crush defense, which is still. I still say now. Yes, I'm speaking to a Vikings fan here, but as far as names of defenses go, Orange Crush is greater than Purple People Eater. They named a soda that still you can buy today after our defense.
I like the Doomsday defense. I think that one was a good one.
The Orange Crush, no fly zone. If it had lasted,
the Steel Curtain was a good one.
Also, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But just the orange.
Obviously, I love the Purple People Eaters, but I'll give you the soda thing because Aaron Rodgers cleverly used that grape crush when he beat the Vikings. I believe it was last year or the year before that in a post conference, and I think everybody in Minnesota stopped drinking grape soda at that moment because of that, and we all just can't stand Aaron Rodgers anyways. But that's.
And then speaking on that, let's kind of go on to, I mean, the trade. Kind of, I think it really fits here. Of, trades are happening. There was an article I was reading earlier today that, growing up, trade deadline trades were not a thing. It was a poor free agent signing that just didn't fit. That was who got traded, at the trade deadline in the NFL. It was some guy that, this guy's truly just done, disgruntled. Those are the only people that ever got traded in the NFL. But now it's not even that. I mean, I'll use my own personal example here as a Broncos fan. I loved Emmanuel. I love Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders loved being a Bronco. It was a thing that they just kind of had of like, you know what? It fits. It works. It's the best case. And I know I had to talk some, my fellow Bronco fan friends, off ledges of, this was the right thing to do on all parties' sake, that to trade him here. But we never saw this before, and it's starting to happen more and more. Now, yes, we do still have the stupid, disgruntled player who's going to be a problem on his new team too. Yeah. We do still have a few of those. Bennett. But
okay, so as the
give us your opinion here as a Houston Texans fan.
Yeah. So again, Houston Texans and Cowboys. I can afford to like them both because they're not in the same conference. I used to have that luxury in baseball with the Rangers and the Astros, and now I had to fold all my Rangers gear and put it in a bottom drawer because Bud Selig moved the Astros to the other conference, so I can't be a Rangers fan anymore. Uh, anyway, but the kid, a 7th-round pick for Michael Bennett. That's worth. That's worth it, no matter what. There's this thing called your risk rewards, and Michael Bennett was upset because he wasn't a featured part of the offense,
Defense.
and then yeah, that's what I meant. Defense wasn't featured as part of the defense. The Cowboys, it's a position of need. It's a known position of need, and they already cut someone because he wasn't good enough, but was acting like he was for that this year in Taco. They cut him. So if Bennett acts up, they'll cut him, and big whoop, they lost a 7th-round pick that they never use anyway, that never makes the roster anyway.
It's telling, and again, this kind of goes back to our good organizations and bad organizations conversation. Mm-hmm. As much as it pains me to say positive things about the emperor himself, Bill Belichick, when Bill Belichick says you got nothing, do you know what that means? You have nothing. You are not a good player. When Bill Belichick says you're not worth being on my team, that means you're not worth being on an NFL team, with a few exceptions. And even in the one exception I have, when I look at him as a fellow human being, he should have retired. That would yes. Did I love Wes Welker as a Bronco? I did. Wes Welker needed to retire. That poor man's head needed to stop.
That poor man's head. You're right about that. Yeah.
Like that's the thing. And Michael Bennett, this is the end of his career. I don't even know that he starts for the Cowboys. I don't. He may be, but the Cowboys have a history of graciously having these people still around in spot minutes. Like Sean Lee's still the captain, but he doesn't play every down at all. So they'll be kind to him. They'll let him play some right end. They'll play him against the young O-lines they play against in that division that aren't any good anyway, and he'll unlock DeMarcus Lawrence a little bit more. But other than that, no big deal. The big signing to me is the Patriots got another college quarterback turned wide receiver that's excellent for nothing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that. Like at some point, someone needs to slap the Falcons for giving Sanu away like that. That's not acceptable. That is not acceptable.
At some point, why does the league trade with Bill Belichick? Like, I don't understand. I don't know. Like, don't we want to move on from the Patriots?
Does he have black?
We already had one game of them with another elite receiver, and that was the game one of them with another elite receiver. And look how good Tom Brady looked. Now we're gonna add Sanu. Ugh.
Does he have black? Does Belichick just have blackmail on everybody? Because in any world, like Sanu, I get one trade. I get these things and want to do this thing, but Sanu's worth. Emmanuel Sanders. Now, granted, they threw in and packaged another pick with him, but Emmanuel Sanders was worth a 3rd and a 4th. Now, yes, they threw in a 5th to get it, but that's what Emmanuel Sanders was worth. Sanu's worth at least a 4th-round pick.
Absolutely.
It's one of those weird things, and it going back to the, like I said about trades, is one of my favorite things forever about football has been, or it's one of my frustrations about basketball, of we're making trades for cap space. We're not actually making trades to do anything for our team. And I get that to an extent of, oh no, I've got a guy here that's, in the last year of his contract and he doesn't want to be here and we're not any good. But that being said, again, looking at like the Broncos, if they didn't get a good offer for Emmanuel Sanders, they weren't like, we've got to get rid of that. We got to get that money off our books.
Yeah.
No, that's not how they're looking at things. Chris Harris Jr. is another great example from the Broncos' perspective. If we get a second and a fourth round pick offer, which I think is a great value pick or a great trade, Chris Harris Jr. If we get that offer, we're going to put it through there.
Right.
But we're not going to. Dang, we didn't get that. Well, we just got to get him off the thing. No. Which NFL never used to do that, but it seems like there are teams that are starting to do that in the NFL. I mean, the Browns' greatest trade was trading for Brock Osweiler just to cut him, and it was like, this isn't a football thing, that's a basketball thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's like Belichick has been playing 3D chess, and everybody else is playing checkers.
Yeah.
With the exception of maybe a handful of teams this year, like Belichick is outmaneuvering everybody. I mean, he sat there and trolled at the end of the game last week because he was just running down the clock, and the Jets couldn't do anything about it. Like, their coach was not even focused on, and Belichick was like 3 steps ahead of them the whole time. And it's like, at some point, he just wouldn't. I don't know. As the armchair GM, wouldn't you just be like, I don't care what the Patriots have to offer. Like, I'm not fielding any calls from them unless they're trading me Tom Brady for a 7th rounder or something.
Essentially, what everyone did with the Lakers.
Yeah, exactly.
Last year, everyone did that until what's his name? Kobe Altman went to New Orleans and was like, okay, all right, we got to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone was just like, no, we're not going to deal with Magic.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so, and I can't understand why people don't do that with Belichick, because everyone knew Magic got LeBron to go there by cheating.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty obvious Belichick gets stuff done by cheating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But so anyway, anything else we got about the NFL? And we got anything else? Final statements about NFL from this past week, or even looking forward to this week?
I will say this, as the Vikings fan, as the homer pick, I did say I thought they were going to the Super Bowl even when we were 2-2, and right now I'm very confident in the Vikings. I know we haven't played the stiffest of competition, but Kirk Cousins went in and he turned his game around. Kevin Stefanski, the offensive coordinator, finally started using play action to his advantage, and Dalvin Cook and Stephon Diggs are eating because of it.
Can Kirk Cousins be 2012, 2013 Joe Flacco? Yeah,
he could. He could.
Then they've got a fantastic receiving core. They've got a workhorse running back, and they got a defense, and that's all you need.
Yep. Having watched the game yesterday, I was invited to a friend's house. That's what we did. We watched the game. That's under penalty. That's why I watched a Redskins football game on Thursday night. I got to be honest. Even despite even playing a team as bad as the Redskins, there was really nothing that Minnesota did that jumped out and really impressed me. I'm just sorry to go against you here.
That's totally fine. Yesterday was Thursday night.
Thursday night, but typically, I mean, most play again.
There is no value or understanding that can be gained from a Thursday night game in any circumstance.
One thing I will say is this, Ben, is Case Keenum knows how to play the Vikings. I mean, you can see that. You can see that in the way that he responded to the pressure and things like that. He had a little bit of a grasp, but as soon as Haskins entered the game, the Vikings coasted. The Vikings coasted because they knew. I mean, Zimmer expected 0, and what did they do? They tried to lean on Adrian Peterson, which insert any running back against the Vikings run defense, and you're just not going to find much success. Like, it's 1 in 10 games that a running back finds success against that. So, yeah.
And then those running backs usually are surrounded by really good receiving force.
Yeah. So, in that case,
I got one more thing I've got to say about football. Amber told me that she had to really say that after my betrayal of the Cowboys on last week's podcast, they turned around and had a statement win. And she said that they did it intentionally because of my betrayal. So I have to betray the Cowboys on every podcast going forward, or my wife will be mad at me. So I'm going to say something mean about them. Jerry Jones sucks, which is not really all that mean, but normal.
So she wants you to tell the truth about the Cowboys. I say this knowing that she will eventually see this, and then I will get I will get yelled at in the chat for this. But looking at that, so we wanted to really cover it last week, but we kind of really ran out of time. Major League Baseball, we're in the World Series. I still say this. There's still something about October. October baseball is just fantastic. Looking at stuff. We're not going to go into we'll eventually do a full baseball MLB recap podcast thing. We're not going to go full into that now, but just kind of looking at the playoffs. These were really different, interesting playoffs. A lot of surprises, especially the beginning of the World Series. But before we get to that, I mean, seeing that not only that Bryce Harper didn't make the playoffs, but his old team did. Yes, it's
okay. I'm an Astros fan. And even I will find a small sliver of joy if we lose in the fact that Bryce Harper did all that and the Nationals were better. Not only better, they could win a championship. Now, I'm looking at it as of recording, middle of the ninth. Houston is up 4-1. Middle of the ninth, they got 3 outs to actually win a game here. I think that'll turn around. I'm not going to lie. Jose Altuve almost made me cry tears of joy with that walk-off homer. I'm a huge Astros fan. And I was a huge Astros fan through the darkest of dark times. And it brings a lot of joy. If they lose, this will be on par with the Patriots losing to a Giants team that barely made the playoffs when they had won every regular season game, or the Warriors blowing a 3-1 lead. This will be on par with that if the Astros lose, except for the fact that baseball is weird. Like, baseball is so random sometimes that I don't know if it fits there.
The thing when you have to look at like the meltdowns in baseball, I think it's got to be that lead. It's got to be stuff like the Buckner Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
It's stuff like that. When stuff like that happens, where we remember that one play, but remember that play isn't the play that actually ended the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
They had opportunities to win the series after that. But we remember that one play because after that play there was a collapse. Same thing in the Cubs. I don't think it was the World Series, but the Bartman incident. Yeah, we all remember that play, but they had chances after that to win it, and they didn't. But so those are the kind of when you're going to say a collapse in that, those are the things you got to keep in mind. Collapses. Before we really get to the series, what I really liked as a personal fan favorite player of mine. I love DJ LeMahieu as when he was playing for the Rockies. I always was one of the ones screaming, "No, DJ LeMahieu is a fantastic baseball player," and but everyone always hashtag Coors. Oh, Coors effect. He's only good because he plays in Coors. He's only good because he plays in Coors. And as a baseball, if you say that and you're a baseball fan, and you say that. If anyone on this podcast says it, it will set me off, and you will hear.
There will be no Larry Walker slander on this podcast as long as I can help it, because I'm the editor and I will cut it out.
But no. So but not just that. In the comment section, you want to if we're on a comment and you hear this and you want to get something out of me, put Coors on there, and I would. But then I'm also a Rockies fan that we've embraced. Hashtag Coors is the reason for everything. But to see that for a moment, now, yeah, it didn't work out because someone else blew it up. But to see that this guy that wasn't supposed to really be anything, that everyone said was nothing, in DJ LeMahieu, was the hero. He was the hero of New York. And all season, had that not changed and they had gone on to win, he was got a very good chance of being the World Series MVP because DJ LeMahieu is a truly the fact that they're able to make him work at first. I never would have considered him at first base as a Rockies fan. He was too great of a second baseman to move to. Why would we? He was a Gold Glove second baseman. Why are we moving him to first? I still don't fully understand that, but the Yankees, they do weird things. But so that made me just so ecstatic to see that DJ actually doing well. I was rooting. I can never root for the Yankees, but I can root for former Rockies that I love. And to see DJ, and I had hoped that Ottavino would have been able to step in because that was another guy that really hurt. I loved Otto when he played for us. So that was really kind of cool looking at seeing that perspective. But now we're at the World Series, and the other weird thing about World Series is anything can happen. Mm-hmm. It means nothing. Like we see
like the Marlins won a World Series while trying to tank.
Yeah, anything can happen once you get to you can be a fantastic team and be on momentum, and the momentum carries you through. Or again, as a Rockies fan, I remember the 2007 World Series where we won the greatest run in baseball history. The greatest from going through, and it's an unbelievable story. And then we had a bunch of days off, and we lost all momentum. And then, yes, I believe that Boston team was a better team, but I still say if we didn't have like a week off between our last game and we played the World Series, I don't think we get swept in that series. I think we win a game, but it's also a case of this where we're seeing now of that the Nats are just hot. You run into a hot team and they just go. You got anything, Sean?
So what's been interesting to me as I've been wallowing in self-pity since the Twins had lost to the Yankees, and obviously everybody dislikes the Yankees, but it's been interesting to see the pitching in this World Series for sure, because the two guys that you thought would be able to be counted on, Verlander and Cole, got smacked. And Fernando Rodney has pitched 1.2 scoreless innings in 2019. Like things that you would never have guessed or bet on in the World Series unless you're Dial County or something like that. So like it just doesn't. It's been wild. It's been October baseball because who would have thought that Zach Greinke pitches the best starter, so far as of tonight.
He's been the most disappointing starter in Houston's rotation, and now does this.
And he allowed one run tonight, and it's been crazy. So not just that, and then the fact that Houston's bats just didn't show up for the first two games as well. For all the things about pitching, and this is huge, and momentum is what you see. It's like, man, sometimes when it rains, it pours. And it's like, if your pitching doesn't show up and then all of a sudden your batting doesn't show up, it's like, at times it felt like Houston is like, well, we'll just phone it in because we're falling apart right now. And I'm glad that hopefully it looks like they're going to pull this off tonight and just try to come back in the series. Because nobody wants to see a sweep or anything like that. But it's just been,
especially me.
Who would have predicted it to be like that? That's what I love about playoffs. Anything can happen in the playoffs. Anything can happen in these championship type scenarios, and that's what makes October baseball great.
Mm-hmm. He's going to run.
As of now, there's 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, 4-1 lead.
So moving on to, I think, the favorite sport of many in the group, many in the podcast of our podcast panel, of the NBA. The NBA has begun. It started. No more preseason. No more horrible foreign teams playing. No more all of these things. No. It's real basketball that's coming on now, and it's been crazy. I'm gonna lead with something that's been weird. Now maybe it's because I'm from here and I live here, but Suns hype, even after one win. Suns hype is people here are excited, which I was not ready because I remember the way everything went, the way the draft worked, the way the draft and everything went down. I remember always, making jokes of, I've got a friend of mine I follow on Twitter, and anytime something happens, someone go check on Brad, make sure he's still okay. Like the number of times I've said that since May, just purely regarding my friend and sending a message. Like I didn't think there was like anything going, but Suns hope is real. But it's one of those things that I love about the beginning of any season is you can know a lot of things, and yes, as Suns fans here, they know about Sarver, but they've got hope. And then they didn't get it squashed on day one. We can get to a way that they did get squashed here in a little bit. But it's just been one of those amazing things of just seeing that day one hope of a team that knows, and they know, deep down, and no one here is expecting to win more than the highest number I've heard a Suns fan say is 30 wins. That's the highest number I've heard predicted.
That was reasonable before what we'll get into in a second. But
it is just crazy as things begin.
That point as well, Phoenix losing tonight by 1 to Denver in overtime.
In Denver.
Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm just going to say this. Maybe not having a point guard on the roster last year was a mistake. And actually getting someone capable of playing that position at an NBA level, even though they slightly overpaid him, is a good thing.
Yeah. Weird, right? But yeah, so I know that I didn't really mean to go on to the Suns. I wasn't ready for, but it's just one of those things of just seeing the excitement, and I love the beginning of seasons because even bad teams, even fans of bad teams, are excited
for a few seconds.
You're excited.
I haven't
2-0,
checked.
baby. 2-0, best in the West.
Even good. You can even find some good things out of close losses early in the season. They don't hurt as bad. Mm-hmm. Like, I had a close loss for the Rockets last night, and there was a few good things. One, Russell Westbrook is better than Chris Paul.
Oh, yeah.
And it's obvious. It is so obvious. I have been on record as saying Russell Westbrook is my least favorite player in sports. I would like to amend that. When there are people capable of making a jump shot around Russell Westbrook, he looks pretty stinking okay. like him driving and kicking to PJ Tucker, who, by the way, has made more corner threes than anyone in the NBA over the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. Him driving and kicking to PJ Tucker is going to be pretty fun. I don't feel like his rebounds were stat padding because Capella still had a ton, and he had a ton.
I was going to ask you about that. What did you think of his stat line? I mean,
it didn't feel. And now, one thing I thought, I have a friend who's also a Rockets fan, and I texted him in the first half. I said, I think Russell Westbrook has leaked out more in this game than he did the entire last 3 years in Oklahoma City because he came here to play a role, and I think he's capable of playing a role.
Yeah.
He came here and he was like, look, Capella's already got that. I'm booking it and I'm going to dunk on their head. And he did good. Harden shot bad. Harden always shoots bad against the Bucks, but it was coaching decisions that killed it. One thing I thought was insane, and I know I wallowed in my pity in the group chat for a little bit, but Daniel House and Clint Capella were destroying the Bucks off secondary playmaking, and every time Daniel House touched the ball, Clint Capella got a dunk. Mm-hmm. Because Chris Middleton didn't know what to do with him, because that was not on the scouting report that Daniel House knows how to pass and dribble. That was not. It's
called the Jokic effect. Realizing that, we can pass the ball too.
Yeah, well, I mean, and Daniel House kind of, he's listed as a guard, but there was no one thought he could dribble.
Yeah.
And he was torching him. And then Mike D'Antoni, with 5 minutes left in the game, and a tied game, while they were on a bad run because they were getting out-rebounded, pulled Clint Capella to put in Eric Gordon, who had missed about 8 million three-pointers in a row in the third quarter and deserved to have his butt glued to the bench physically. And we lost, and I almost felt like it was on purpose. But the good things we learned is that bench is not terrible. The bench is not terrible, and if we had shot anything normal like we were capable of, we'd have won that game handily. But another thing I thought about is I'm enjoying watching the Timberwolves. I'm going to let Sean talk about it, but I'm enjoying watching the Timberwolves this year.
I love it. Right now, their offense is humming. I mean, it's we have some of the league's most physically gifted slashers, and we're finally using them to slash rather than playing iso ball and shooting a lot of deep twos in an antiquated system. I mean, like, you just look at Ryan Saunders and Pablo Prigioni have revamped the offense. David Vanderpool, you see the defense is starting to click a little bit, minus Jeff Teague. And when Andrew Wiggins decides to play defense, who knows when that's going to happen. But, like, besides those two guys, you see a unit that's starting to be cohesive. It's exciting. It is. They're 2-0 right now, and Karl Anthony Towns is eating. I mean, look, he's averaged through 2 games. Obviously, this is a super small sample size, but this is why my take was that he receives 1 media MVP vote this year. But look at this: 36.5 points on 24 of 40 shooting, 11 of 18 from three. It's 14.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 3.5 steals, 2.5 blocks, and he's a plus 24 on the floor. I mean,
well, I'll tell you this: MVP is always decided in the first 20 games.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It is always decided who is going to be MVP in the first 20 games.
And so
Karl Anthony Towns is
my
making
basis
good.
is that somebody is a closet Wolves fan in the media and will finally be like, "Hey, this is my time."
Like the thing is, he is averaging his assists are what's really impressing me.
Yeah.
Like, it is all running out of a hub like him. He's playing like Jokic with a 40-inch vertical.
Yeah. Yep.
He's playing like Jokic, who can jump. No offense, Ben. I love Jokic, but
you don't have to jump.
No, but he flashed the playmaking ability his rookie year, and then it didn't really go anywhere because Tibbs is stupid. And Ryan Saunders has really changed it, but also as a guy who got to watch a young guard learn from Pablo Prigioni, Pablo Prigioni joined a roster where James Harden was averaging 6 assists a game. Then all of a sudden, James Harden averaged 11. A lot of that was Mike D'Antoni just saying, "Look, you're the point guard." But everywhere Pablo Prigioni went, whoever was the young guard learned how to pass.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. I mean, last year with Brooklyn, you saw it. It's just, I love it. I love the staff that we have right now. So a lot of momentum. I do, obviously, I got a ton of Timberwolves takes, but I won't go into the Homer stuff. We
got time. Hit it up.
Well, so before I say anything outrageous, a couple of things that have surprised me in just looking at Brooklyn is not as good as I thought they would be right off the bat. They barely beat the Knicks tonight. And obviously, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to adjust. They just don't look like the unit that they were last year.
Well, they are missing their biggest
Kyrie
piece.
didn't get to, not even that. Kyrie didn't get to play half the preseason.
Yeah. And so
they didn't get a training camp with Kyrie, and then all of a sudden Kyrie's taking 25 shots a game.
It shows. It absolutely shows. Absolutely.
Just give it 2 weeks and they'll catch up.
Yes, I believe that too. Another thing that I think the Jazz don't look that good right now.
The Jazz look awful.
I saw people putting them in top 3 seed in the West for
Who
sure.
had them
I
winning?
saw people.
I'm going to throw my brother under the bus because he totally said they were going to lose in the finals.
Yeah,
I'm throwing him under the bus.
they do not look good. I don't know what. I don't know that there's a singular problem.
I can tell you what the problem is. As someone who's lived in the Memphis area for the last couple of years, Mike Conley's washed. Mike Conley is washed.
The one thing that I could point out is that they lost a decent passing, who I thought fit in Utah's system okay, in Ricky Rubio, and they gained a guy who is washed. Yeah.
He's washed, and he's what, the 4th highest paid player in the NBA?
Yeah, something like that. It's something outrageous, for sure.
It's all about when you become a free agent.
Yeah. Well, I got one more take that I think is big. Pascal Siakam.
Ooh.
Pascal Siakam at least thinks he's Giannis.
Has been unleashed. And
he fully. I'm calling All-Star and borderline All NBA first team. Because that guy is because he's one, he's got a good team around him that fits, and his coach doesn't play. No. Did you hear what he said about Rondé Hollis Jefferson and what's the other guy from Arizona, Stanley Johnson? Someone asked how they were fitting in, and he was like, "They aren't because they don't play defense, and that's why they're not playing."
Nick Nurse, man, I love that.
Like he was. I mean, he just and one thing you will never be able to say about Pascal Siakam is that he isn't engaged. Like this dude may Toronto may repeat into the finals. I don't know if they'll beat a team from the West. Yeah. But Pascal is very like his coming out party was the finals, and I do not think he is going to hold back. Just the way I've seen him through the preseason, he is hungry and he wants a shot.
And that's one of the most important things, especially in basketball. And I know I kind of going over the stuff of my favorite players on my favorite player on our college team went through. It wasn't about talent. It wasn't about stats. It wasn't about how good he was, but it's the guys who are changing the game because they're truly hungry. Little stuff that they do is what puts it over.
I got a great example of this.
Watching the team, he ended up getting hurt in practice, towards ACL in practice, and the team was never the same again. And you were looked at, well, stat lines, the guy averaged like 5 points a game, 6 to 8 rebounds, and all this other stuff. Like, what was going on? I was like, no, he's the pure heart motor guy. Guy would draw like three to 4 charges a game.
Yeah.
Little stuff like that because he was hungry. And that's in basketball, it's one of those things, and that's why you look. And I remember the thing the coach said, when he was talking about when Dan Marley was talking about him afterwards, was basically saying, like, no, like, this is the heart and soul of our team because of the hunger and drive he has.
So you're talking about you talked about a guy that used to be a Rocky that you loved that plays for the Yankees. I am not a Clippers fan, but I will always be a Patrick Beverley fan.
Yeah.
That dude made me fall in love with his game. Because it justifies the way I play pickup.
And not just that. I mean, you want to get angry at him stuff, but it's like, you're like, no, man, you're stupid and arrogant. No, but he's right. Like, he's not.
He is the only guy that is 6 foot. He sub 6 foot. Let's be honest. He's not really 6'1". He's listed as 6'1", but he's not that tall. And he is the only guy that size, other than Chris Paul, that was like, nah, I got Durant.
Yeah, he shuts people. He just shuts people down. And that kind of
he won that game.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Kawhi's score. No, stripped 2 dunks by Anthony Davis right as the Lakers were in the middle of a run. That first game, and it was Beverly. And Beverly made Steph Curry look like he was a fringe all-star instead of the MVP we know him as.
Well, that's what he does, and that's looks back there, and then it kind of goes like another take that I've kind of got of this, and it goes back to some of my statements earlier about it's a fixed and rigged system and a rigged game. But I noticed like little bits of if Beverly made one of the greatest statements that I love. Even if I knew nothing else about him, seeing this statement from him like makes me a Beverly fan. Of when he called out ESPN of so we won that game. So where are our highlights?
Yeah,
Because all ESPN was showing was LeBron and AD highlights, and it was, hey, we won the game. Where's our? And I get that the same kind of thing. And this goes back to why did I pick Damian Lillard to be the MVP? Because the Nuggets beat the Blazers. That's right, Kyle. The Nuggets beat the Blazers in Portland. But despite that, went on ESPN.
The Blazers.
I doubt the
Oklahoma City is the worst in our division, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Well, the Blazers are putting the whoop down on the Kings right now. So.
It's the Suns obliterated the Kings. So
yeah,
but even after that game, the ESPN had their 4 big highlights of that game. 3 of the 4, Damian Lillard. And it's just because that's what's coming through. And I love Patrick Beverly, and it's been a problem I think the NBA for a long time, especially when it comes to players like LeBron and everything. Where show us so, but like it made the point. Like Beverly made the point. Like no, if you didn't watch the game, you would have totally thought the Lakers won that game. And the fact that there's someone actually willing to stand up and like, hey. We won the game. Make it known. Report, do your job. Report the news. We won that game. So he's just always been that. It's a phrase that I don't want to say like he's under 6 foot, but I never think of him as like you hear about the little pit bull defense guy. I never even think of him like that. He's not even that. He's just a solid defensive player who happens to be 6 foot ish.
Yeah.
He's not even that little. No, he doesn't like play. No, he plays the position. He plays big. You don't, to the point where you actually don't notice his height.
Yeah.
There are players out there that, like I said, that's that pit bull player. No, you notice that he's small and he's doing little things.
So the only time the Rockets have had a 500 or worse season since Yao Ming was on the roster was the year that they decided they were going to bench Patrick Beverly for Ty Lawson.
Yeah.
And it killed the Rockets' energy because of the way Patrick Beverly changed how the Rockets played. Because the moment Patrick Beverly, because he was signed in the middle of a year, because he was playing in Europe, and then he came over in the middle of the year, and the Rockets went on a win streak the moment he broke the rotation, to the point that they ended up having to bench Jeremy Lin, who was having a great year himself, so they could start Patrick Beverly. Now they ended up finding something really good in the playoffs where they played all 3 of them. They played both of them and Harden, and that was really good. But then of course they had to ship Lin off because money reasons, like Ben was saying about basketball. Most of it's made about cap instead of about personnel. Most of your decisions, but let's get to something about maybe wanting it too hard can lead to some issues in Phoenix. Maybe DeAndre Ayton wanted an edge too much. Apparently,
I don't even. It's hard to even understand what's going on with the situation because
that's the thing. So it's a 25-game suspension for having a diuretic. For those of you who don't know what a diuretic is it flushes out your kidneys. And generally, those are used when you have kidney stones, stuff like that, or kidney diseases. And they're pretty commonly prescribed. The reason they're on the banned substance list, though, asks other drug users. And so it's considered a masking agent. My big issue with this is I believe if you test positive for steroids, it's a 10-game suspension. So the masking agent is going to be like a second offense. So unless he's already failed one where he didn't get suspended before, and now he's got that's what's bothering me about. I feel like it's too heavy-handed.
I agree.
This literally just came to me, so I haven't thought it through and worked it out at all. He was one of the targets of the FBI
scandal, yeah.
The FBI scandal in college. And we know that the NFL does do certain situations where certain people and players
get punished for what they did in college.
Little hits more for what happened. This is something that just kind of can't. Could this be a case of this happening here? Because I mean, again, it's hard to describe. I think someone in our chat posted a graphic showing all the longest suspensions whatever in the league, and this is
like the 5th longest suspension ever.
And it's like, wait, how? Something is not adding up here. The joke that I had with some of the friends here down in Phoenix is, well, no, Phoenix won a game handily by a lot. The only way they do that is if they're cheating. Really bad. So they don't know what they were cheating for, but they were clearly cheating because they won a game by a lot. Therefore, someone needs to be punished.
Maybe, but it also might be having an actual full-time GM and an actual coach that knows what they're doing and an actual – sorry. There's all sorts of stuff.
Messed it up.
Yeah. I fully understand. We don't want someone who's already the size that DeAndre Ayton is naturally on steroids. Like, I fully get that. I understand that completely. But I don't like the message that sends that the masking agent, which is pretty easy to just get, oh, well, here's your prescription, go. And no one would think, well, that doesn't affect your performance. I can understand how he wouldn't think that was on the banned list. Mm-hmm. But Wilson Chandler's serving a 10-game suspension right now for something that wasn't on the banned list, became on the banned list after he had already got it. So the drugs thing and the PED conversation is going to get more full front as we go. No one wants what happened to baseball in the early 2000s and the late 90s.
Sean, go ahead. You got something to say. Go ahead on this one because I've got something else that I've got this. So, but I want you to get in there first if you've got something to say on the Ayton thing.
The one thing I don't understand it because he tested on all the follow-up tests. He's clean, and so like the NBA Players Association is probably licking their chops at the opportunity to make the NBA lose some face again. Like I don't understand what the NBA is doing because they've already lost a lot of trust or lack of with the whole China situation and everything. And now this, which you're right, it seems heavy-handed. It feels like it's a little much. Like it's unless they were to come out with some sort of formulaic explanation as to where and why they came up with 25 games for this specific instance, you're losing trust in the NBA.
Does the NBA have an arbitration system like the NFL does?
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's an appeal system, and there's the chances of this. If this was the 10-game suspension like Chandler got, I don't think we're even discussing this. If this holds at 25, I think we can guarantee beyond a shadow of a doubt that something else is happening here, but it's the only thing that they're wanting to admit. Sure. If this holds at 25, from everything I'm hearing, but so I'm not gonna really pull things away from the NBA or even player, and I've noticed this in other sports, and just a question I've had. I wish one of us needs to know a doctor and understand how this element here can work. But it blows my mind that teams, because in all sports, we hear this happen. Oh, I didn't know what was in I didn't realize what I was taking. How is it that when you get drafted or signed to a team, that the rule is, all right, here's the thing. The only person who can write you prescriptions or give you medicine is our team doctor. That's it. That's the only person you can go through. And that team doctor, one of his jobs is make sure no one's taking anything else. This way, if that's the case, and you know what? If he gets busted for taking a diuretic, even for whatever reason, no, you didn't come see our doctor first. This is on you. You're busted. You're in trouble. Then in that case,
I feel like that's a HIPAA violation, though. I think that's a HIPAA violation.
Is there a violation there?
Yeah, about your employer knowing your
employee. Like I said, having I know with the NFL and concussions, there's.
I'm not totally sure on that, but I feel like that's probably a HIPAA violation.
Concussion guy, but like having. If nothing, it just blows my mind that there's not like if a guy with a team like this guy is not paid by our team, he's not the team, but this is our team approved guy. He is legally not allowed to tell us whatever any of that stuff that's going on. But team approved guy, he knows what you can and cannot put in your body. And so if it's the case where we test positive on that, no, we argue because our guy is the one who gives him everything. We found out, oh wait, he was given something else, not from our guy. What the heck are you doing? Now we can get mad at a player. But it just seems like this every single time. What's this? Why didn't? And the other perspective I would like to almost be able to test is what does the average person do? Because for the most part, I think about like what I do. I know what I put into my body. I'm not an athlete. I'm not a professional. But even for myself, I know what I'm taking. Like I'm looking right here next to is my allergy medicine there. Now I don't know all of the different things on it, but I know I take allergy medicine. If my job said that I can't have a bunch of little things that could cause something, you know what? I'm going to be absolutely sure I know exactly what's in this allergy medicine. And if I test positive because there's something in my allergy medicine, you know what I'm doing? I'm yelling at the allergy medicine people because I read your ingredients and that thing isn't in there. And that's all I'm taking.
The issue with this is most of the banned substance list is controlled by the World Anti-Doping Agency, and they add and subtract stuff willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm.
It's to a point. I wish they would have a grace period when they add and subtract stuff. I wish we could get to a point where we just said, look, if a normal person who has a normal injury gets prescribed that, I think the athlete should be allowed to be prescribed that during their rehab. Mm-hmm. I think they would have to self-report it and be like, look, this is going to show up on my test. Test me for everything else. This will show up.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to be tested the whole time. And then when they're supposed to be off of it, that better be out of their system.
Yeah.
But I think we do a huge disservice to people who are expected to rehab in the best way possible when we're saying you get handicapped in your rehab. I think it adds to more injuries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting if Ayton comes out with anything, any admittance to I knew this was in my drink and I knew this was banned, or if he takes any responsibility. Because at this point, it's.
I believe there was an official Players Association statement saying it was an accidental ingestion.
Okay. So far, he has said that he is not denying having taken it, but he has said that he didn't realize.
It was on the banned substance,
and that's.
I think the players. So what I would assume is going to be the thing is he probably had some kidney issues.
Sure.
He probably had some.
The defense is accidental ingestion.
Yeah.
But the team is putting. And this is kind of where I go to that is the team, and I feel like somewhat rightfully so because again, I do say if you're a professional athlete and you're governed by these different rules, if nothing else, or you better, as an athlete, especially a number one pick like that, you better have someone that you pay. You better have your own full-time doctor who goes, no, if I'm getting a cold medicine, I'm only getting a cold medicine you give me because I'm going to pay you I'm holding you on retainer, and part of the reason I'm holding you on retainer is to tell me what is and isn't on this list, and I trust you to get on the list. Because the team was he needs to know what's in his body. He needs to know what he's putting in, and I don't feel like that's an unreasonable request of a team.
No, I don't think it is.
To know what you're putting in your system.
Why baseball wants to keep Michael Pineda fat? I don't know. But the Twins lost a consistent pitcher and got shamed by the Yankees. So thank you, diuretics.
But on that, thank you guys for joining us. Joining us tonight. We got to end on I feel like it was a tougher subject, drugs, but a brighter subject ending than last week's. But again, we actually want to go through, and if we want to thank you guys for listening to us. And again, as we kind of mentioned on the end of last ones, if you've got, I'm just going to kind of tack this on there. If you've got any questions about faith or anything like that, we didn't really kind of get in that tonight. But if you've got any questions on it, feel free to drop us a line in a comment. We might reach out with you and have a conversation with you. You got any questions on that? I think that's a way to.
We'll walk you through your Kanye experience. We will.
Yes, with Kanye coming through. But yeah, if you've got any questions, let us know. Otherwise, enjoy. Have a fun week of sports, and we'll see you guys next week.